Exclusive contracted novel by Falun Novel Network. Honghuang. Me, a weapon-refining maniac, favored by the three cults. Bow into the Chanmen and follow the trend of the heavenly way. Yunzhong traveled through the wilderness and became a named disciple of the Chan sect, Yunzhongzi. I thought becoming a Fu de Jin Xian was already satisfying enough, but I never expected that there would be the strongest AI intelligent brain to assist in cheating cultivation. Ding! Congratulations to the host fusion super chip, Dao Yen, which has successfully bound to the Genshin impact and can run 200 billion peaks per second. Ding! We have successfully analyzed the process of constructing the principle of creating a jade dish and are about to enter the simulation smelter. Ding! We have successfully cracked the vulnerability of the meteor holy pill and have automatically transmitted it to the host's mind. Ding! Based on the current attack and killing methods, combined with the host's divine cultivation, we have made 13,000 possible attacks. Please choose the attack method. Analysis and computation are sometimes exhausted, and one can find them all without them. Cloud Neutrons began to plan ahead and plan for the quantity crisis. The defeat of the witch demon, analyzing the origin of the golden and black, compiling the body of the witch race. The war of sealing the gods, with multiple plans and no layout. Falun Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Am I a Cloud Neutron? Does the Tao propagate all things? You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 1. Am I a Cloud Neutron? Does the Tao propagate all things? The world is open and closed with yin and yang, and the clear energy of heaven and earth sweeps away the dark yellow. Kunlun Mountain. The vast mountain range stretches endlessly, and the dragon veins are constantly dormant. Immortal energy rises, smoke and clouds rise everywhere, and 1,000 auspicious colors emerge. It is a picturesque scene inside. A myriad of rays shimmered in the sky. Like a weeping willow, hanging upside down on an endless mountain range. Dots of starlight, within the limits of poverty. Sometimes. The crane carries its spiritual fruit at its mouth and flies, suspended above the fairy waterfall. The ethereal aura emanates from within. Another white deer stepped into the air and quickly passed away. Luan and Feng sing together, auspiciousness spreads throughout the sky. Cave after cave, like shining pearls, illuminating the heavens. Inside the Jade Void Palace. The 12 golden immortals sat down one by one. The flow of Dao Yun is not smooth. The mysterious aura of the stock scatters and spreads. At that time, everyone's eyes changed endlessly. There is a lot of discussion. Strange. What is the origin of this Taoist? Without being tested or observing his footsteps, he worshipped the Xianmen, practiced Taoism, climbed to the sky, and achieved immortality. There was a Taoist in a yellow robe, talking confidently, but a hint of displeasure flashed across his eyebrows. It was Huang Long. He, the sect leader and master, have a saying that he is a person of great fortune and is naturally blessed. Just like us, we need to climb to Sendai, step on the path of heaven, cross the infinite steps, ring the mighty golden bell, go through difficulties, and seek the path of immortality. There is another middle-aged Taoist who is not tall, but particularly well-proportioned, smiling at the fear of leaving his grandson to caress his beard. Senior brother Guangchengzi, master of the sect, but he never said that about you. It can be seen that all the Taoists who come here must have a considerable background. As a saint, they are all exceptional and collected without exception. The jade tripod is tied with hair, exuding a fairy-like demeanor and a calm demeanor. Guangchengzi on the side. Dressed in white, with a handsome face, black hair draped over her shoulders, her breath curled up, appearing incredibly calm. Upon hearing the words of your fellow disciples, my mood is also calm. Stepping into the immortal path, majoring in mental state. Gossip and gossip. Self-disturbance cannot disturb his desire to seek immortality. Although there is no hint of dissatisfaction. But there are also some doubts about it. He Guangchengzi was the first to sound the golden bell and ranked first among the 12 immortals of the Jade Void. Talent can be described as unparalleled. He did not receive such a title as the Holy Master. However, a migrant worker has attracted such attention. In his heart. I also have some confusion. At the same time. The discussion came to a halt. Yuqing Palace. Inside the Purple Cloud Palace. A young Taoist sat cross-legged on a cattail. A shower of red hair, like a fairy waterfall, rolling down. Clear facial features, dignified edges, and impressive spirit. The sword eyebrows were slightly raised, and the eyes seemed to scatter starlight, as if they were one with the stars in the sky. The method of refining jade clear tools is profound and mysterious, which is something that extraordinary people can cultivate. Crossing this realm has lost endless fun, but now, it has become increasingly clear and abstinent. His real name is Yunzhong. But by chance, he passed through this vast world and became a neutron in the clouds. Although not among the 12 immortals of Yushu. But he also named disciples for the saints. Compared to the scattered cultivators with no background or support in the wilderness. It's also countless times better. Enter the door of the sage. The Yuanshi Heavenly Sovereign also passed down the method of refining jade artifacts. Immortal teachings are difficult to cultivate, and it is well known that clouds and neutrons are no exception. The process of comprehending immortal methods is already extremely tedious and lengthy. Not to mention the art of refining tools that includes the means of saints. Dao Yen, conduct weapon refining deduction. Cloud Neutron gathers all the divine thoughts, no longer sighing, silently reciting in his heart. In an instant. A heavy mechanical sound echoed in Yunzongzi's mind. Ding. Dao Yen 1 is starting up. It's finished. Ding. The alchemy exercise begins. Ding. After arrangement and combination, there are a total of 48,612 refining methods and 360 excellent methods, which have been introduced to the sea of consciousness in the Su mind. Just as the words finished, a massive message entered the mind of Cloud Neutron. In a moment, all the unfamiliar characteristics of divine materials. Starting in front of him, it was particularly clear. That's right. This is his golden finger. However, it is not a system. In his past life, Cloud Neutron was the chief scientist of the Blue Star Federation, specializing in intelligent AI. Collaborate with the world's top scientists to develop a timeless product. Dao Yen. Dao Yen is Blue Star, and even the most advanced intelligent computer in the world. Can absorb nutrients and digest them anytime, anywhere. Martial arts, Taoist techniques, and even supernatural powers. It's not a problem. Every second, it can calculate 200 billion peaks. Don't talk about the human brain. Looking at the vast expanse, there are not many people who can achieve it. After everything is arranged and combined. The understanding of the jade refining technique in Yunzongzi's mind is even deeper. Pieces of divine material scatter rainbow light, accompanying the void one by one. Fly into the tripod. Burning flames and raging flames. Immortal materials and divine materials. Liquefy one by one. Condensed into droplets, converging together. Cloud Neutron magic inspires. Drive up the primordial spirit and condense creation within the void. At the moment when spiritual energy spreads. Baoguang rose into the sky. Between heaven and earth, the sound of falling thunder runs through endlessly. Resounding through the endless mountains. Cloud Neutron's eyes lit up slightly. Is this a sign of success? Chapter 2. Without reaching the Heavenly Immortal, creating a postnatal spiritual treasure. You are listening at Novel Full. Audio. Chapter 2. Without reaching the Heavenly Immortal, creating a postnatal spiritual treasure. Boom. Above the Kunlun Yuqing Palace. Circling countless purple thunderbolts. It is grand and stretches for hundreds of thousands of miles. In an instant of splitting and falling. Thunder fire refining hull. The entire Xixia Palace is incredibly bright. Like a pearl embellishment. Thunder roared one after another, crazily sweeping and gathering. The clouds of calamity dispersed. It's like a great power crossing a calamity. At the moment of shooting down. The divine power of the clouds emanates, and the divine mind covers the tripod. The three-legged tripod rises. The swirling embryo on it swayed forward. Thunder echoed in waves. Like a pear blossom in a rainstorm, it pours down. Cover falls on top of the embryo. Mars splashed everywhere. Scattered around the Xixia Palace. A total of 7,749 thunderbolts flashed. That trail of Mars. At that time, it turned into a shining treasure. Continuous scattering. Burst into it. Stir up. Immortal light envelopes endlessly. Purple mist began to rise one after another. Suddenly. But I only felt a surge of immense power filling this area. A big bell. Standing between the world. The emitted breath is incredibly intimidating. Just like this, quietly hovering within the void. At the same time. Inside the Jade Void Palace. The 12 golden immortals looked up. Showcasing their divine powers one after another, they covered themselves with divine thoughts and left. After witnessing the entire process. The pupils suddenly contract. There is something incredible. Lingbao the day after tomorrow. Leading down the weapon robbery. This person, who has only been introduced for less than 100 years, has already ascended to the hall and entered the room with the method of refining jade purification tools under my Yushu sect. The fear of leaving Sun was greatly shocked. 100 years of time. For those like them who are undergoing major repairs, it's a snap. Closing down once takes thousands of years. Cloud Neutron has been introduced for 100 years. I can see the art of refining tools and forge spiritual treasures for the future. How not to shock people. Huan Long's expression was fierce, and his expression suddenly changed. To refine the postnatal spiritual treasure, in terms of lower grade, it also requires immortal power that never stops. This Cloud Neutron has not yet reached the realm of immortality, and his immortal bones have not completely transformed into immortality. How could he have such immortal power? Isn't it true that, as the sect leader and master have said, they are people of great fortune? The jade tripod gradually turned positive, regaining consciousness, and experiencing the faint treasure light between heaven and earth. I'm afraid that's it. The master of the sect values followers the most when accepting disciples. Although I don't know who the followers are, I don't know. But being able to be directly included in the sect by the sect leader and master, as a member of my Yushu sect, is definitely not inferior. Even if it's not as good as my 12 immortals of Jade Void, I think it shouldn't be far away from each other. The crowd was in a frenzy of discussion. I became increasingly curious about the identity of Cloud Neutron. Even at this moment. Forgetting about cultivation. Guangchengzi is no exception. Forget the clouds above, gradually dissipating and retreating calamity clouds. But he shook his head slightly and said, "This junior brother, you can't underestimate him. If you enter my Yushu sect, we should treat you equally. It will take 1,000 years to have a preliminary understanding of the acquired spiritual treasures, the characteristics of divine materials, and even the techniques of refining weapons. And this Cloud Neutron junior brother, refined in 100 years, is truly talented. He ranks first among the 12 golden immortals. Faced with the instrument calamity caused by Cloud Neutrons, I greatly appreciate it in my heart. Such talent. No wonder the saint made an exception and took in his disciples. At that time, inside the purple cloud palace, Cloud Neutron slightly opens its hand. The refined bell seemed to sense and came towards the void. Slightly shake for a moment. In the void, a faint bell rang out, falling into the neutron ear of the cloud. My mind cannot help but deflect. The day after tomorrow, the next item is Lingbao. Unfortunately. Cloud Neutron let out a slight sigh. Obviously, there is some dissatisfaction with this. Dao Yan's deductive ability surpasses the innate power of the current world. Although this method of refining jade and pure artifacts was created by sages, it can also be analyzed and simplified. However, forging spiritual treasures solely on one's own is too difficult, and it is necessary to distinguish the characteristics of divine materials one by one and create corresponding handprints on the artifacts. If there is a spiritual treasure that can be borrowed, it can be constructed by analyzing the principles of Dao Yan. After the changes, I only need to make corresponding techniques. Cloud neutrons slowly silently recite in their hearts. Think of this. He was deeply puzzled inside. The green silk rises. My mind is starting to change. Playing with the big clock in hand. So, how can we obtain better spiritual treasures? The spiritual treasure of the day after tomorrow is not suitable for great use in the wilderness. Only innate spiritual treasures are born from birth. We need to forge innate spiritual treasures. I want to transform in the future. It's even more difficult. It is necessary to integrate the innate immortal spiritual light in order to be forged. In the vast and desolate world, where are so many innate and indestructible spiritual lights coming from? Clouds emit waves of sorrowful words. Dang! A loud bell rang. At this moment it begins to permeate the entire Kunlun Mountains. The deterrence is boundless. The melodious sound of the bell is not urgent. But it made the entire disciples of the teachings, like thunder piercing through their ears. Panzhong. The bell of the sage's rock rings. This is the meaning. The sage wants to summon all his disciples to the Yuqing Hall for a discussion. However, no major events have occurred within the current teachings. It's just preaching and giving treasures. Cloud Neutron just reacted. I feel outside the cave. One breath after another transformed into a divine rainbow, surging towards the inside of the Yuqing Hall. Above countless divine peaks. The white robes fluttered along the way. What a fairy-like demeanor. The scene of recklessness is constantly evolving. Chapter 3. The Heavenly Gang Divine Power sees through the wall cave. Face the saint with your own eyes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 3. The Heavenly Gang Divine Power sees through the wall cave. Face the saint with your own eyes. The rock bell rings. Kunlun moves. Within the immortal mountain, countless disciples ride the divine rainbow and stir among the peaks. Cloud Neutron is delighted in his heart. Among the saints of the three religions, Yuanshi is the most protective and dotes on his disciples. This time, gather all the disciples. It is expected to be either preaching or giving treasures. As a disciple of the sage, I need 1 or 2 heavenly spirit treasures to observe. Not too much, right? The sage's preaching must not be delayed. I need to go as soon as possible, but don't run out of seats. Cloud neutrons dare not delay. Converge all the precious light inside the purple cloud palace. Transforming into a stream of light, instantly shining outside. Drifting through the peaks. Until now, he still lacks the cultivation level of the Earth Immortal. In terms of cultivation, compared to other disciples of the teachings, it is much lower. In terms of speed, the same applies. Fortunately, Zixia Hall is not far from Yuqing Hall. It's just a dozen or so divine peaks. Although it is unclear whether the original intention was intentional. But this also saves a lot of time for Cloud Neutrons. Just left. Yun Zhongzi noticed 12 gazes ahead and gathered together. Full of oneself. If you want to see yourself up and down, it's just that. Even if I have never seen it before. Cloud Neutrons also have a certain number in their hearts. 12 people in front of me. Isn't it the 12 Immortals of Yushu? Yun Zhongzi bowed slightly and saluted. Yun Zhongzi, I have seen 12 senior brothers. In the clouds. The 12 Immortals all bow their heads. After detecting the neutron breath in the clouds. I am also quite satisfied. Rich breath, extraordinary footwork. Although my cultivation level is slightly lower. But it is also a discovery. On Yun Zhongzi's body, there is also some aura of acquired spiritual treasures. It still hasn't dispersed. He is truly an unparalleled expert in refining weapons. Junior brother Yun Zhongzi, let's go together. Guang Qingzi chuckled. With a wave of his big sleeve. At the foot of the Cloud Neutron, suddenly there were several more clouds. Speed soars. In a moment, he walked side by side with the 12 Immortals. It has attracted the envy of countless fellow disciples. Junior brother, when you join my Yushu sect, remember not to just go through the process of refining weapons. In terms of cultivation, you should not delay it. Yuding spoke softly, her voice incredibly warm and mellow. Upon hearing this, Yun Zhongzi nodded and said, it must be so. For Cloud Neutrons. The 12 Immortals were also quite satisfied with their previous doubts. It also dissipates like smoke and clouds. How could the gaze of a sage be wrong? Being able to join the Chan teachings. And he was broken by the sage and accepted into the sect. This is proof that Cloud Neutrons are rare innate beings in the world. Root and bone qualifications are all top-notch. Driving the clouds of Guang Qingzi. The speed of Cloud Neutrons is extremely fast. Strolling through the peaks of Kunlun Mountains. After a moment. Then he followed the 12 Immortals to the Yuqing Palace. Inside the Yuqing Palace. Purple qi rises, and strange phenomena continue. A golden lotus blooms and spits out lotus seeds. Xianhuang qi fills this realm. Waves of mysterious aura began to scatter and spread in all directions. Mysterious and mysterious. For a while. Those who come stop. They are all immersed in this place's vision. Sometimes. But I saw the fairy waterfall flowing backwards and the spirit cranes dancing. From time to time, I see the immortal bamboo rising up from the sky, the earth of the Optimus Prime. In front of me. It is no longer the Jade Palace where the sage resides. But it's a paradise, a blissful place. At a glance. It makes people addicted to it. Unconsciously. The 12 Immortals disappeared from the clouds. Amidst the immortal waterfall in front of me. I am the only one left. He is also addicted to it and cannot extricate himself. Ding. It has been detected that the host is affected by a magnetic field, causing adrenaline to surge. Protective measures are about to begin. A voice began to ring in the mind of Cloud Neutron. With a faint blue light flickering. The divine soul in the clouds is once again calm, like waking up from a dream. The influence of magnetic field. What is in front of us is an illusion caused by the sage's breath. Yun Zhongzi finally woke up. No wonder. All the fellow disciples here have disappeared, only myself. But now, knowing it to be a fantasy but unable to awaken, is this the power of a sage? Yun Zhongzi was amazed and experienced the power of a saint for the first time. This kind of deterrence strikes directly into the depths of the soul. Gradually, generate a deep sense of fear. Ding. We will soon analyze the best solution for the host. Yun Zhongzi, who had just woken up, heard Dao Yan's response. Yun Zhongzi couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief in his heart. In magnetic field analysis, Ding successfully deciphered the Heavenly Gang divine skill. Barrier cave view, which will be automatically transmitted to the host. Dao Yan's speed is very fast. Almost within a few breaths, an echo was heard. All communication is in the mind of the Cloud Neutron. Not long after, the neutron in the cloud feels the primordial spirit flicker. A divine power with a deadly imprint in one's mind. To unfold along with one's own thoughts. At the moment of the pouring of immortal power. In his eyes, a burst of dark yellow gas shot out. The essence is overflowing. Everything in front of me instantly turns into reality. The illusory fairy waterfall and spiritual crane. Even patches of blessed caves. In an instant. In his eyes, it completely turned into illusion. That mysterious feeling had an impact on him. It's getting smaller and smaller. Finally. Between the opening and closing of his eyes. A dazzling divine light flickered in his eyes. All the wonders before us. All shattered like a mirror. Inside the Yuqing Palace. The one who catches the eye first. It is an incredibly majestic figure. With every move and gesture, there is a majestic spirit that destroys heaven and earth. Sage. Yuanshi Tianzuan. Chapter 4. This Earth Immortal is not simple. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 4. This Earth Immortal is not simple. The sage sits on a high platform. Extremely solemn. The scattered breath around, turbulent world. Cloud Neutron looked at it at a glance. Like falling into the void. Self, as if shuttling through chaos. All great terror, as if it followed, Cloud Neutron feels a chill in his heart. The scattered light in the eyes overflowed and spread, emitting a golden radiance, slowly spreading. Turn around. He dared not look directly at the sage anymore, and his gaze swept over the fellow disciples present one by one. The divine power unfolded in an instant. The weaknesses of everyone appeared before his eyes one by one. It is the foundation of cultivation and the intensity of one's breath. Extremely clear. Undoubtedly, it is the Heavenly Gang divine power. This divine power, although my cultivation level is low, I cannot directly look at saints and fellow disciples. Unless there is a significant difference in cultivation level, I can understand their cultivation aura and even their weaknesses. You can also make speculations about the future and even see everything as your cultivation improves. Cloud Neutron murmured in his heart. His gaze swept over the 12 immortals of Yushu. I saw 12 immortals covered in the heavenly spirits. Infinite golden light flickers, and the richness of the breath is like the surging sea. The 12 immortals of Jade Void have exceptional talent, all of whom are top-notch. Undoubtedly, he is the most respected disciple under the sage's throne. Yun Zhongzi sighed in his heart. My divine thoughts gradually gathered, and my heart was filled with great joy. Tiangang divine power. Ranked among the highest in the wilderness. And in the future, we can also absorb the laws of the wilderness with Dao Yan, continuously deduce and advance. Or create it yourself. It is not impossible to seek good fortune and avoid misfortune, and to speculate on the mysteries of heaven. Immediately. A wisp of melodious Dao sound runs through this realm. As the road rolls and emerges. Not long after. The 12 immortals also woke up one after another, breaking through their illusions. In his eyes, there was also a look of astonishment. Yun Zhongzi ignored it and wasted too much time here, heading forward again. After the 12 immortals have fully awakened and their expressions have returned to calm. But it was also discovered. Cloud Neutron, isn't it here? Where's junior brother Yun Zhongzi? Am I still in the master's illusion realm? Huang Long's expression changed, and he did not notice the trace of Cloud Neutrons, feeling suspicious. Behind him. A wisp of sound came through. The illusion has been resolved. Junior brother Yunzongzi, I'm afraid it might be. The Jade tripod frowned and hesitated to speak. Speaking of which. Everyone was surprised. The illusion has been shattered. Cloud Neutron is not here. That is to say, isn't this guy already breaking through the illusion and heading towards the sage? His air, as if condensing here. Cloud Neutron. The realm of earthly immortals. In elucidation, even some Taoist children's cultivation is also above it. But can they lead them by one step, unlock the holy power first, and break through the illusion? Although the 12 immortals have a wide range of knowledge. Perhaps being adopted by saints as a family heirloom, their innate talents naturally do not need to be elaborated. Cloud Neutron. A named disciple who has been in the field for less than 100 years. But everyone was stunned, with a hint of confusion in their eyes. Quickly enter, the sect leader and master are waiting for us. Guang Qingzi spoke up and pulled back the fellow disciples who were in a state of confusion. The immortals will no longer delay. Still with a puzzled expression on his face. Walking towards the interior one after another. In front of the sage, Yun Zhongzi lowered his head and loudly said, I pay my respects to the sect leader and master. On a high platform. The figure of Yuan Shi sitting cross-legged is incredibly tall, as if on par with the balance of the scales. Stand within this realm. The slightly leaking breath causes waves of void disorder. Beside him, there stood a Taoist attendant wearing a grey Taoist robe, with a faint light emanating from his body. For the deputy leader of the exposition. Ran Dang. On the right is the Antarctic fairy standing with a staff. Both of them, with a respectful expression on their faces, sat under the sage's seat without daring to show any signs of exceeding the norm. Yuan Shi's gaze slightly changed. Divine thoughts enveloped the entire Kunlun Mountains. Gather inside the Yuqing Palace. But only a burst of divine aura unfolded. Not long after. I heard the words of Cloud Neutron. Upon seeing this, Yuan Shi nodded slightly. Obviously exceptionally satisfied. As a saint, I have been teaching for countless years. Collecting apprentices for thousands of years. I intended to keep the door closed. But unintentionally, they discovered Cloud Neutrons. Fortune is deep, luck is strong, and one carries merits. He was the primordial heavenly sovereign and also a person who cherishes talent. Without restraint, he took the Cloud Neutron into the lower level. And bestow Zixia Peak, located not far from Yuqing Hall, as its dojo. It can be said that it is quite preferential. Now, at first glance. Indeed, he did not disappoint the primordial heavenly sovereign. Saints are omniscient and omnipotent. Moreover, within Kunlun, everything cannot be concealed from the eyes of saints. I have been studying for less than 100 years. The technique of refining weapons is then introduced into the room. Compared to other disciples, it is more than 10 times faster. The first time refining a treasure, one will refine a lower-grade postnatal spiritual treasure. Although it is only for inferior products. But it still satisfies Yuan Shi immensely. It can be said that one is a talented individual with boundless talent. At the moment of entering the palace just now. Under the pressure of the sage, break through the illusion. Directly comprehend the Tao of heaven and earth. Understand a heavenly gang divine skill. Through the wall, I can see through the cave. Such talent, even intelligence. An exposition with a plethora of talented individuals. They are all considered top-notch. Originally, he loved talent from the beginning. Especially for Cloud Neutrons. A generation of highly skilled individuals with exceptional talent and intelligence. Just to the taste of Yuan Shi. Even as a saint, one cannot refuse such an excellent disciple to the extreme. Old authors and new books, as long as everyone provides data, gives flower evaluation tickets and rewards. The author guarantees 10 updates a day for a continuous month. Chapter 5. Immortals gather at Shangqing Peak, explaining teachings without calling. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 5. The Immortals gather at Shangqing Peak, while explaining teachings not recruit disciples. 12 Immortals of Jade Void. They also arrived one after another. As expected. Cloud Neutron ranks first. This made the 12 Immortals particularly shocked. However, in front of the sage, there was not much loss of composure. Immediately, Chi arched his hand and said, I pay my respects to the sect leader and master. At the beginning, it seems that all the main disciples have arrived. I also nodded slightly. Wave your hand. The endless flow of Dao Yun. The mysterious power flows through it. The emergence of anomalies continues. Take your seat. At the beginning, he spoke lightly. On-site disciples. Take your seat with the flow. Including Cloud Neutrons. It's just 13 people. As for the other named disciples. But it is influenced by external illusions. Until now. Still hasn't walked out. Yuanshi did not continue to wait. Just speaking on his own, he said, I have been preaching for nearly 1,000 years to this day. Since then, I have been preaching and closing the mountain gate tightly, no longer accepting only disciples. Upon hearing this statement, Cloud Neutrons did not show much reaction. Originally, he knows. Explaining and accepting disciples does not care about the number of disciples. Not like in the case of Jijiao, there is education without distinction. Yuanshi Tianzuan values following his footsteps the most. If you don't keep up well, he must not be worshipped under the door of a saint. Elucidating. It can be said that you are the best among the best. A gathering of elites. Correspondingly, Yuanshi was also quite protective of its shortcomings. For disciples, there is no need to say anything. The number of commentators is small. There is naturally no shortage of resources like in the case of interception. Need to constantly compete with peers. This is also a major benefit of elucidation. Subsequently, the 12 golden immortals had a dull complexion. Except for the dozen or so people outside. Add them. How many people are there? More than 100. Amidst the flood and famine. Isn't it just a matter of comparing the number of major roads? On the side of Jijiao, it can be said that it is called the coming of 10,000 immortals. Let's not talk about human education. Laozi is quiet and inactive. Accepting apprentices is also arbitrary. Under the door, there is only Xuandu alone. But the beginning is different. On the side of elucidation, one's fortune is flourishing. At present. Not just accepting disciples. The best time to promote orthodoxy. At the beginning, but at this moment, he said he wouldn't accept his apprentices. So let's put it this way. From top to bottom, isn't it just these people who explain? The interception of Shangqing. This period of time has come. Many creatures from the wilderness have come to worship them. Even the Sage of Heaven does not refuse visitors. As long as you cross the big formation, they can all be their disciples. On the other hand, they are at Yuqing Peak. But it appeared quite indifferent. Yuan Shi's gaze glanced down. Saints are omniscient and omnipotent. How can one not know what is going on in the minds of the 12 immortals? Immediately, he also spoke up and explained, there are countless creatures in the vast world. I establish a tradition and call myself a saint as my ancestor. When it comes to accepting disciples, it is more important than fate. If you are destined, then you can join my sect of teachings. The rest of us are just not destined. If that's the case, why test it again? The 12 immortals suddenly realized. I vaguely remember the scene of myself and others worshipping the teachings. Ascend the immortal platform and knock on the immortal road. Then, the golden bell rang. This is the only way to gain the eyes of saints. Incorporate into the personal transmission under your command. As for Cloud Neutrons, it is an exception. I did not accept such a test. Just because of the profound fortune and the sense of carrying great fortune. Take it to the beginner's level. This is what Yuan Shi Tianzun said about fate. However, compared to the 12 Immortals of Jade Void, Yun Zhongzi is a nominal disciple. Not among the biographies. Thinking of this, the 12 Immortals also gradually let go. Immediately, Yuan Shi waved his hand gently. The power of a sage. Pouring into the universe. At that time, the endless heavenly sounds were vast. Thick and majestic. The surging qi churned inside the room. In an instant. Falling to the foot of Yuqing Peak. That terrifying triple formation. And the sendai that ascended to the sky. Starting to gradually become illusory. In front of all beings who wished to worship under the door of saints. Completely dissipated and disappeared. At the foot of the mountain. Countless creatures have doubts in their hearts. Saint. What is this for? Starting today, preaching will no longer recruit disciples. A ray of sound passed down. Accompanied by the disappearance of Sendai and the Great Formation. Spread downwards. At that time, the spirits of all living beings below. Feeling extremely regretful and unwilling in my heart. Sage, won't you accept disciples anymore? They remembered all the experiences they had gone through when they came to Kunlun. Flipped through countless sacred mountains. Having gone through countless hardships. What you are thinking? It's nothing more than bowing to the door of a saint. Firstly, find a support. Secondly, it is to obtain some resources for cultivation. Of course. There are also descendants of prominent families among them. Come here. What we do is the way of the sage. But now, all illusions disappear like smoke and clouds. Saint Yuqing, choose not to recruit disciples anymore. For them, it's like a bolt from the blue. Originally, there are still a few who can break through the formation and see the creatures of the sage Tianyan. I am even more unwilling in my heart. But the wise man's words of gold and jade became a prophecy. Once spoken, never back out. They even dare not slander and criticize the sage, even though they are scattered cultivators. If you don't accept it in your heart anymore, it's also gradually leaving. Even the thoughts of sentient beings. I knew so early. I went to intercept the teachings of the 10,000 immortals who came to court. Although the competition is fierce. But at the very least, there are still some opportunities, aren't there? Not like preaching. Completely no longer recruiting disciples. Regret old authors and new books, as long as everyone provides data, gives flower evaluation tickets and rewards, the author guarantees 10 updates a day for a continuous month. Chapter 6 Sage's Lecture. Jade Void Man, Storage Function. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 6 Sage Preaching, Jade Void Man, Storage Function Activated. Clear Qi and Disperse. Inside the Yuqing Palace. The spirit of the sage is once again displayed. Honghuang slowly scattered out from the sage. The strands of sage's teachings. Also retrieved under Yuqing Peak. Just listen to Yuan Shi continue to speak freely. There are various strange phenomena emerging around. This matter has come to an end. I teach the disciples of Yushu's sect and have personally passed down 12 disciples. You and the 12 others are all extremely talented individuals, who have mastered the Tao and Dharma, practiced the immortal way, abandoned mundane matters, and retreated into the Jade Void sect. Once you have worshipped me, you must abide by your true intention, wholeheartedly pursue the path, climb to the end, and never develop a lazy heart. The sound of the beginning was quite heavy. In the Yuqing Palace. It's like a bell ringing. The hearts of the disciples present are constantly turbulent. Hear the words of the sage. The heart of the 12 immortals is gradually stabilizing at this moment. I will never forget the instructions of the sect leader and master, he said in unison. The sound is like a torrential bell, continuously swirling and rising within the heavens and earth. Yuan Shi's eyes scanned one by one and nodded. Immediately. Continuing, I am here to invite you and others to explain my teachings. Secondly, I will preach to you, appreciate the sage's teachings, and clarify the path in your heart. Once this statement is made, everyone present, undoubtedly not overjoyed. Preach. The sage preaches. It's really a great opportunity. For over 1,000 years. Although the 12 immortals rarely meet the sages in person. But it is also a perception that accompanying the saint's side, one receives a blessing from the saint themselves. When practicing, it is absolutely impossible for there to be a breeding of mental demons and unstable Tao mind. And the sage established a religion. Speak as you please. Opening my mouth, there was a sky full of flowers and a ground filled with golden lotus flowers. What a mysterious scene. Today, the sage preaches to expound on the sage's teachings. This kind of opportunity, it's not an opportunity to lose. It can be said to be overwhelming. Cloud Neutron's heart moved. Sure enough. Such a great opportunity really caught me off guard. But the words of the sage. Mysterious and obscure. Although it is here to preach. But everyone sounds different. As for how much one can comprehend, it all depends on one's own qualifications. Cloud Neutrons are also eager to try. He also wants to give it a try. The sage preaches with his own understanding. How much can one truly comprehend? And throughout the entire wilderness, there are only 6 saints who hold the title of saint. Being able to receive a saint's sermon once. But it also saves tens of thousands of years of cultivation. This is nothing but a great creation. Not just the disciples. On the side of Yuan Shi, one on the left and one on the right. Although the expression on the lamp was still calm. But there was also a hint of excitement flashing through. Even though he is born with great abilities. The words of the sage are not always obtainable. Being able to get it once is also very useful for him. Including the Antarctic fairy. His eyes were slightly turbulent, as if there was a flicker of brilliance. To attain the path of a sage. Can Dao Zao Hua. My heart was filled with boundless emotions. The disciples looked excited and respectfully said, "Thank you, Master." Yuan Shi withdrew his gaze. In my mouth, the sound of the Tao wafts through. I explain teaching, explain the heavenly way, follow the general trend, divide and combine all things into 3, 6, and 9 classes, and teach according to materials. The heavenly way is elusive, and the great way is impermanent. Immortal sounds run through the surroundings. A sage's words become a prophecy. That grand Tao sound, flowing gently. Accompanied by countless paths, this place begins to vent. The vision has spawned again. The sky is in chaos. Earth surges with golden lotus. Countless sage teachings. One by one circulation. Just like the blooming of a rainbow, all things are born. The melody between heaven and earth returns to this moment. A series of anomalies have emerged. In front of everyone. It seems like an incredibly spacious and vast avenue has emerged. Just wait for them to leave step by step. At the moment when Yuan Shi speaks. Everyone here. Including innate powers such as lighting lamps. It was also an instant immersion. Enjoying this mysterious feeling. That sound. Like constantly hovering and ringing in their ears. On the physical body and even on the primordial spirit. Up and down, every sense. They are all incredibly comfortable and relaxed. On a high platform. Purple air lingers around. The story of Yuanshi is endless. After a while. My disciples also noticed something was wrong. But it feels like. The concept of sages is incredibly clear in their minds. But it is mysterious and obscure. Every bite is difficult to comprehend. Even. Arrived at the back. The way narrated by the sage. In their ears, there was only a slight penetration. Has not left any profound influence in the mind. The legendary feeling of being enlightened by listening to the sage preaching did not occur. Gradually. The 12 immortals have a somewhat uncomfortable expression. At this point. They only felt a slight pressure from the sage. The feeling of wandering and venting on the main road has completely disappeared. Mysterious and obscure writing. Make it completely difficult for them to understand. Cloud Neutron. Nature is no exception. This feeling fills his whole body. Sweat dripped on the forehead. It seems like they will always withdraw from this listening state. Dao Yen, can you enable the storage function to record what the sage said? Cloud Neutron's mind moved slightly, quickly activating Dao Yen. If he continues to understand like this, his only cultivation as a local immortal will be harmed by it. Not long after, the sound of the prompt was thorough. Ding. The real-time storage function has been turned on. Automatically analyzing and filtering. Looking for flowers and evaluation tickets, is there anyone else watching? Could you please provide the author with some data? I have already completed the 6th update today. Chapter 7. The Peak of Program Operations. The Holy Man's Infinite Preaching. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 7. The Peak of Program Operations. The Holy Man's Infinite Preaching. Ding. Analysis completed, connected to the host's consciousness C, covering the magnetic field. Dao Yen. Countless functions. The storage function is also one of them. Storage. It's not just ordinary storage. But directly within the sea of Cloud Neutron consciousness, a mysterious magnetic field is added and amplified. As the sage's words fall, it can be analyzed and stored within the magnetic field. This storage method. It fully embodies the teachings of saints, even their own beliefs. And it can be simplified. Whenever the Cloud Neutron needs to comprehend. Just immerse yourself in the situation. It's equivalent to being able to listen to the sage preach once every moment. Although it is repetitive. After fully understanding, the effect on Cloud Neutrons is extremely significant. It's equivalent to. The sage preaches endlessly for him. It can also be continuously deduced and analyzed. Even to the point of capturing the teachings of saints and evolving divine powers. Cloud Neutron felt great joy in his heart. It's so great. Sure enough. Worshipping under the door of a saint brings many benefits and benefits. With the ethereal sound of the Yuanshi Dao. Narrative. It is the Jade clear immortal technique. Adhering to the original enlightenment and philosophy of the Tao. In this process, Yun Zhongzi heard the words of the sage. Sitting among them. After a slight disturbance in the sea of consciousness. His consciousness, even his intellect. Quickly improve. Entered into a listening state. In an instant. He felt once again that his previous state had returned. The words of the sage. One sentence. Even a single word. They are all incredibly clear in his mind. Dao Yen, analyze the Jade clear immortal technique. Ding. Analyzing the Jade Qingxian method. Between the flickering blue light. The originally obscure and mysterious immortal method. Ethereal to the extreme. In front of the original Cloud Neutron, it was like a heavenly book, obscure and difficult to understand. The computing power of the Dao Yen program began to be deduced, analyzed, and compiled. At this moment, the clouds are clear and bright. To further enhance my understanding of the Jade Clear Immortal technique. Glittering runes one by one. Imprinted in the void. Accompanied by clouds and neutrons, the Taoist robe sways in between. At that time, he himself is in a space constructed by the great Tao rune. Absorb the essence of it. 4 limbs and 100 bones, 5 organs and 6 viscera. Scriptures run and thrive. The power of the vast avenue envelopes the entire body of the clouds. The halo of the sage preaching gradually covers down time. As if staying down at this moment. Cloud neutrons are immersed in it and cannot extricate themselves. The Dao Yen program begins the operation. Record the words of the sage. Infer the Jade Immortal technique. The graceful interweaving of runes echoed through the clouds and echoed through the mind. Ding. Resolved the Earth Sha divine art. Tong Yu, it has been automatically transmitted. Cloud Neutron's heart moves Tong Yu. Di Sha Shin Shu. Accessing the underworld, traversing the 2 realms of Yin and Yang, stepping within the 5 elements. Divine skills are inferior to supernatural powers. Although it stops at the technique, it has not reached the other side of the way. It is also possible for cultivators to comprehend the laws of heaven and earth themselves, integrate into them, and evolve into powerful divine powers. A halo slightly dispersed. The Earth Demon divine technique entered the body and was instantly comprehended by Cloud Neutron. His movements did not linger. Still immersed in it. Based on Dao Yan's records, deduction, and analysis. All major programs run and calculate in one go. Ding. Resolved the Earth Sha divine art. Dan Shan, which has been automatically transmitted. Ding. Resolved the Earth Demon divine technique. Hutian, which has been automatically transmitted. Ding. Resolved the Earth Sha divine technique. Divine Xing, which has been automatically transmitted. 100 years pass by leisurely. During the preaching of saints. The law is being vented. The philosophy of the great way that belongs solely to the sages spreads out in a melodious manner. The way falls like rain. The melody is moving. Among them. After opening the Dao Yen. Cloud Neutron, on the other hand, occasionally analyzes and deduces a Earth Evil divine technique. Although in this preaching. And collect all the 70.2 divine spells of this Earth's evil. But Yun Zongzi is also extremely satisfied in his heart. At the very least. He is only of earthly cultivation. Mastering so many divine techniques, as well as the heavenly gang divine power. The cave view across the wall. Change to a regular cultivator. The required footwork intelligence is unparalleled. Can be on the neutron body in the cloud. But it is also particularly relaxed. This computing power has a peak of 200 billion times per second. Absolutely surpassing countless innate powers in this world. The root of intelligence is unparalleled. The sage preaches. Others feel extremely uncomfortable here. The philosophy of the sage. Even if it is spoken in a simple and easy to understand way. It's not something they can fully understand. Understanding is one aspect. More importantly, it's about vision and insight. Enter the door of the sage. How long have they been? For example, burning lamps and the Antarctic fairy-like. Upon realizing it, there was no easy explanation. Still closing my eyes. I dare not have the slightest trance or distraction. Just sitting in place. Listen to the way of the sage and flow the Tao's essence around you. Cloud Neutron. It's incredibly easy. This sage's teachings are extremely difficult for others to comprehend. After opening the Dao Yen. He just needs to quietly stare ahead. Dao Yan automatically records, deduces, and analyzes. Then, it is automatically transmitted to oneself. Even say this record. If you want to watch it again in the future, just open your mind and observe it. Just like a sage preaching endlessly. All of this is simply not too satisfying. Looking for flowers and evaluation tickets, is there anyone else watching? Could you please provide the author with some data? I have already completed the 7th update today. Chapter 8. Climbing the Great Road, Who Will Be the Champion? Sage's Philosophy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 8. Climbing the Great Road, Who Will Be the Champion? The Sage's Philosophy Cave Qinkuan. Inside the Yuqing Palace. Clouds flow around the body, and the breath flows gently. Seems immersed in the mystical teachings of the sage. For a moment. Cannot extricate oneself. The layers of mystical halos unfolded by the sage's teachings gradually covered them. Covering it. Thousands of radiances are scattered. It lingers endlessly. On the other side. It is different. The 12 immortals felt the profound truth of this great road. The obscure sound of the sage's way. As if copying the heavenly script from ordinary people. A partial understanding. Even completely ignorant. Rao, they have excellent bones and exceptional intelligence. The words of the sage. How could it be so easy to understand? For a while. The 12 immortals have different expressions. Huan Long's expression was tense, his eyebrows suddenly raised, and beads of sweat rolled down his immortal body. Pu Xian felt a little flustered, realizing the words of the sage, only feeling obscure and mysterious, unable to fully understand, and could only comprehend one or two of them. As for you Dingguang Qingzi. It's slightly better. Sitting steadily on a futon. Allow the endless Tao accumulation to flow freely. However, one can only comprehend the third and fourth of 10. They are extremely perplexed. The first time I heard the way of a saint. Unable to comprehend it all. At that time. The 12 immortals looked at each other, but their eyes were somewhat desolate. At this moment, I feel the fairy light returning together, gathering together. Waves of purple air drifted and curled up. Pour down here. That kind of way is like the blooming of a rainbow. Mysterious and mysterious. Strange phenomena are constantly emerging. The 12 immortals unconsciously became curious. Looking up one after another. Don't look, don't know. I was startled at first sight. These phenomena and even the Tao. And the subtle and profound breath of the Great Road. It all emanates from the Cloud Neutron. He sat cross-legged in between. It seems like a mist above my head. Behind, there was a faint flicker of the sage's oppressive aura. Avenue manifestation. Obviously immersed in the teachings of the sages, I have a great understanding. Crazy and intoxicated. Boom. Worshipping the mountain gate for 1,000 years. The 12 immortals claimed to be more inclined to join the ranks of the Chan sect than the outside world. Talent and talent. I don't know how much. He is already a top-notch genius above all mountains. Under the words of the sage. These exceptionally talented individuals, couldn't help but overshadow. You can look at the Cloud Neutron again. Listening to the Tao is as easy as drinking water. The profound teachings of the Jade clear immortal technique continue to circulate. Manifesting exotic beasts and spiritual root elixirs. Seems like entering a fairyland. The vision transformed by the words of the sage is like a fusion, mysterious and indescribable. The 12 immortals were extremely shocked in their hearts. Their talent is as outstanding as theirs. But it's also a bit out of reach. Cloud Neutron Jr. Brother. Guang Qingzi hesitated to speak. In my mind, I vaguely imagine the scene of a Cloud Neutron bowing into the mountain gate. One person, one crane, brought by the hands of the sage. Such honors. In elucidation, who can be compared? As for the others, he was extremely surprised. What is the situation? Isn't Yun Zongzi's footwork similar to his own and others? This guy. How can one immerse oneself in it? Understand as much as 10%. This guy, shouldn't he be pretending? Observing the breath, but not like it. In their hearts, they were filled with doubts. At this moment. Burn the lamp and lift your eyes. Those eyes, pitch black like an abyss, seemed to pierce through the endless void. Looking towards the moment of the neutron in the clouds. There was a slight fluctuation in the eyes. He spoke softly. It seemed somewhat unbelievable. Cloud Neutron. The cultivation of a mere earthly immortal can resonate with the teachings of the sage. Entering this realm. He's quite a genius. Ran Deng shook his head slightly and soon fell back into the sage's words. The Antarctic ferry also looks up. Stabilizing one's own surging path without derailing. Isn't it really related to that person? The Antarctic ferry seemed to have something in mind. But it was fleeting. Observing the current cultivation level of Cloud Neutron is only in the early stage of Earth Immortal. It's a bit influenced by cause and effect, but fate is also not shallow. As for whether we can reach the peak, it's hard to say. In front of the Antarctic ferry, there seems to be a leisurely red cloud, swimming freely in the world. He didn't think much either. The eyes instantly returned to calm. Get caught up in it. Finally. Yuan Shi's gaze swept lightly, without any hint of pressure. Look at the Cloud Neutron. I couldn't help feeling a little satisfied in my heart. As a saint, one can naturally perceive the mystery of the Cloud Neutron enlightenment Jade Immortal technique. Its breath evolves. If already integrated into a rather wonderful realm. Occasionally. I felt it from the beginning. Understanding the Jade Immortal technique. Cloud neutrons can be said to be increasingly profound. 70.2 Divine Arts of Earth Sha. All within this method. In this mere century of time. Almost every once in a while. Cloud Neutron comprehends a divine technique. It can definitely be considered a demon. Although it is one of the arts, it has not entered the Tao. But the power is quite impressive. Corresponding to the acupoints and meridians in the body. After successful acquisition. Eliminating disasters and avoiding difficulties, finding longevity, is not a difficult task. Thinking of this. Yuan Shi was quite surprised in his heart. Sure enough. This time, I found a treasure. The preaching continued. A few more years later. The voice of the sage paused. Inside the Yuqing Palace. A celestial anomaly. Completely dissipated and disappeared. The sky was filled with stars, but there were no exotic beasts or spiritual root elixirs. The vast Tao heritage has never circulated again. Lasting for 100 years. The preaching has finally come to an end. Subsequently. Everyone present. It also slowly awakened from the state of listening to the Tao. Looking for flowers and evaluation tickets, is there anyone else watching? Could you please provide the author with some data? I have already completed the 8th update today. Chapter 9. Descending from the mortal world and ascending to the heavens, achieving enlightenment and enlightenment. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 9. Awakening from the mortal world and ascending to the heavens, realizing the Tao and seeking the ultimate truth. The sound of vastness. Gradually stay. Waves of lingering sound continue to stir the void, causing ripples. The 12 immortals slowly awakened and passed by. The pressure on the body suddenly decreases. 100 years of time. For the words of the sage's path, although we only have a partial understanding, we cannot fully comprehend them. The 12 immortals are inherently talented and exceptionally intelligent. There are also gains in each of them. Each person's harvest is also different. As for Cloud Neutrons, after the Saint Dao Yin stops. Ding. The words of the sage's path have been stored and are currently being stored. Dao Yan's voice rang out. Not long after. Ding. After storage, it is imprinted in the host spirit and can be called up for viewing at any time. Storage has finally been completed. A century-long sermon has come to a complete end. Yun Zongzi slowly breathed a sigh of relief. The atmosphere around gradually stabilized. His eyes widened slightly. Start counting your gains. Jade clear immortal technique this time, I have comprehended 7, 7, 8, and 8. Although not completely satisfactory. But it can also be considered a great achievement. The profound meaning of the scriptures is also thoroughly remembered and comprehended by Cloud Neutron. And the most important thing is, in the remaining years, 70.2 Divine Arts of Earth Sha. Completely penetrated and gathered by Cloud Neutrons. The 70.2 techniques of D Sha are originally techniques for avoiding disasters and seeking ways of longevity. You can climb up to the clouds and shrink down to the ground. At your fingertips, the mountain opens and the wall cracks. When you feel angry, the stones move and the sand flies, hiding and changing your appearance, all of which are extraordinary and relaxed. With this method, although I may not be able to penetrate the heavens and earth, I still have a slight level of strength to roam the thousands of mountains and mountains of Kunlun. Cloud Neutron sighed in his heart. For the 70.2 divine spells of this earth demon. Increasingly fascinated. Wait for all the Tao accumulations to completely dissipate. Yuqing Palace, the moment of returning to tranquility. Ding. Capturing a strand of innate Tao rhyme. Ding. Under analysis. For some reason, Dao Yan's voice rang out again. Even Cloud Neutron couldn't help but feel a little surprised. Congenital Dao Yun. The sage's preaching has just ended. Did you capture it so quickly? But it's also an extra surprise. After a moment. Ding. Parsing completed, add attributes to the host's physical body. In transit. Boom. Not waiting for the Cloud Neutron to react. The scene before his eyes. Thorough transformation and repetition. All the mysterious scenery inside Yuqing Palace. Completely disappearing. Cloud Neutron eyes. Numbers flickered one after another, densely packed. In an instant. He seemed to have entered a transcendent and unparalleled realm. The state also changes accordingly. Without me, without him. My heart, for a moment, has reached the pinnacle of stillness. In my mind. Only one avenue lingers. If the Yangtze River is a huge current. Pouring continuously. At that time. In heaven and earth, billions of runes converge. His breath. Starting to climb continuously, rolling and moving. Wearing a uniform and waving it. Immortal chi is steaming inside. Seems to ascend to 9 days at any time. Cultivation. Transforming again. Middle stage of the Earth Immortals, middle stage of the Earth Immortals Dixian Peak. In an instant. The bones inside the cloud make a sound. Countless bones began to vibrate. For a moment. Remove all the mundane aura. Immortal energy surged in. Blessed among countless bones. The two complement each other. The divine radiance scattered out in small dots. It swept across this place for a moment. Finally. That original semi-immortal body. Starting to completely transform into a fairy body. Bones, crystal clear like jade, shimmering with boundless radiance. Above the heavenly spirit. The immortal vortex converges, starting to gather the fruit of the heavenly immortal way. The physical body and spirit are unified, pouring all directions into the universe. At that time, his cultivation has already entered the realm of immortality. Such a magnificent feat, it can be called a miracle. Around, whether it's the 12 immortals, still ranked among the saints, the burning lamps and the Antarctic fairy. In the eyes, there are sharp flashes. Zong is a saint, also looking around. Wudao. This is the state of enlightenment. After listening to the sage preaching, Cloud Neutron unexpectedly entered such an extremely peculiar realm. Body and mind, fully infused into it. The body of the primordial spirit. Let's start to understand the great road between heaven and earth together, and pursue the ultimate truth. The scriptures of the Jade clear immortal technique, also reflected in it. Scatter the dots. Just a moment. Let the hearts of everyone present tremble. Cloud Neutron. Like entering Honghuang. I have gained enlightenment. Seeing this, Honghuang is truly unbelievable. This state. At the moment when their dragon clan was strong, someone had also entered. But there are also very few. This has nothing to do with one's own roots or even perception, but rather the feeling of heaven and earth. Tao. For the world, the foundation of the universe. Enlightenment. It's about starting to understand the operating rules and realizing everything. The state of enlightenment. It requires guidance from heaven and earth. Or in other words, in a certain aspect, having extremely high attainments, abandoning all previous concepts, tracing back to the origin, and enlightenment. Entering a new and unique field. Now. As soon as I step into the clouds of immortality. It is precisely in this state. How can they not be surprised? The 12 immortals had a trembling complexion. On a high platform. Burning the lamp was also a shock. Endless years of cultivation, achieving enlightenment, but only a few short years. Is it true that someone who has such a profound fortune is the one who has been recultivating it? Earth immortal enlightenment. I dare not even think about burning a lamp. As an innate superpower. He has only gained enlightenment a few times. Not to mention just a cloud neutron in the realm of earthly immortals. A figure began to appear in his mind. Today is already the 9th update, and the 10th update will be completed soon. Please give us some free flowers and evaluation tickets. The author will be happy during the Chinese New Year, and we hope for your support. Chapter 10. When the Immortal Road is in the misty realm, a path will endure forever. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Chapter 10. In the ethereal realm of the Immortal Road, a path that will endure for eternity. Ascend to the heavens in one step, condense immortal bones, and gather immortal veins. Enter this mysterious state of enlightenment. Everyone's mood has recovered. At the beginning, he firmly sat on the high platform. I am quite satisfied in my heart. The insight of Yun Zongzi, and even his affinity for Dao Yun. All of them are considered top-notch. Even as a saint, there is still some joy in my heart. Immediately. At the beginning, he spoke up. Facing the 12 immortals, he said, the preaching has come to an end. Do you still have any doubts about the immortal method? This sermon lasts for 100 years. It was also intentional by Yuan Shi. The cultivation of the 12 immortals is inferior to that of the Xian immortals. The cultivation level of Cloud Neutron is even lower, just like that of Earth Immortal. 100 years. For them, it is the most suitable time. If it takes a long time, it is inevitable that they will be affected by the Great Road. Upon hearing this, except for Cloud Neutrons, the 12 immortals below are all sitting upright and in danger. Converge all your own breath. Master, Master. The Jade Clear Immortal technique, which connects the orifices and acupoints of all living beings, is there any drawback or flaw in our Dragon Clan's practice? Honghuang spoke first. Among the 12 Immortals, only his footwork is somewhat unique. And after the end of the Dragon Han Cataclysm, carrying terrifying karma on one's body. This is also the reason why Honghuang devoted himself to worshipping the saints. I want to use the wisdom and fortune of a sage to erase my own karma. After Honghuang spoke up, Yuan Shi immediately replied, the Jade Clear Immortal technique can be practiced by all spirits. The heavenly way not only opens up a path for all spirits to cultivate, but also conforms to the time of the heavens in my teachings. Since you have entered my teachings, you can rest assured of your karmic power. After hearing this, Honghuang also breathed a sigh of relief. After Honghuang opened the first river, other disciples, they also opened their mouths to inquire. Yuan Shi never tire of it. Answer them one by one. It's like preaching the way again. The sky is in chaos. This time, the 12 Immortals are also intoxicated and unable to extricate themselves. Compared to preaching, this time, they listened more deeply and had a better understanding of the Tao. In the Jade Clear Immortal technique, they have also comprehended several 70.2 divine arts of the Earth's demons. At the beginning, a divine and magical aura took off. I am particularly satisfied in my heart. 12 Immortals. He is truly the chosen person of fate. As the original explanation ends. Finally, the celestial aura enveloped Yun Zongzi's body, condensing into halos that rose one by one to the top of his head. The mysterious and obscure aura emanating from his body dissipated. It's completely natural. The 12 Immortals looked up together. I feel that breath flowing. Is it comparable to ordinary Immortals? Cloud Neutron breaks through the realm. Equivalent to entering the road completely. With the blessing of hermeneutic energy, accompanied by the philosophy of sages. After the breakthrough, I have a much stronger aura than ordinary celestial beings. Look at the beginning one by one in your eyes. Cloud Neutron, just preaching, is there any confusion? Cloud Neutron has just awakened. It was the grand sound of the sage who heard the words that came through. After a burst of eardrum tremors, slight body movements, immediately pondered for a moment. He then spoke up and asked, Master, this time my disciple has realized the Tao, but there is one thing that cannot be understood. We cultivate immortality, but the difference in realm is vastly different. After entering the Heavenly Immortal realm, I feel that this omen becomes increasingly real and relevant. How can one divide one's realm above the Heavenly Immortal realm? Or could there be some differences? Entering the Heavenly Immortal realm for the first time. The difference in perception and realm between clouds and neutrons is extremely huge. Divine consciousness, primordial spirit, physical body, and Tao heart are all qualitative leaps. This made him somewhat curious. Yuan Shi heard the words. I also understood the meaning of Cloud Neutron. You were born into an earth immortal, and there is no need for me to elaborate on the mundane realm beneath it. Realm, divided into earthly immortal, heavenly immortal, true immortal, Xian Xian, Jingxian, Tai Jingxian, and Daoyuo Jingxian. Di Xian Wen Dao, Tian Xian enters Dao, Zhen Xian Ming Dao, Xian Xian comprehends Dao. As for the golden immortal, it can condense the top 3 flowers and merge them into one's own essence and spirit. Tai Golden Immortal is the foundation laid by the golden immortal realm, making the top 3 flowers more tangible. After mastering the rules, the 5 chi in the chest will gather together and enter the realm of the great Luo Golden Immortal. Mastering the rules, going against the heavens and earth, can be called eternal. The language of the beginning. Let the hearts of the disciples here stir at all times. Listen to the sage preaching. In front of everyone, the various realms seem to be materialized. appearing in front of them. The displayed spirit, tearing apart the sky and the earth. Just like a cultivator visiting this realm in person. After the Dalao Golden Immortal, it became a quasi-holy realm, where 3 corpses were beheaded to form the Tao, the ultimate realm, and all innate abilities in the world were included in this list. Going forward, there will be the realm of sages like me. Saints, who are always with the heavens, with the Tao, will endure forever, and will never be destroyed in all calamities. They are omniscient and omnipotent, and with just one thought, they can perceive the past and future. Speaking of which, on-site disciples. Everyone is trapped in what Yuancher said. They are all lamenting and pursuing this mysterious avenue. But unable to comprehend such mysterious language. Their knowledge is just right. How to feel the mystery of the sage realm. And cloud neutrons. In my mind, it is quite clear and bright. The various realms seem to be imprinted in his mind. A peculiar realm. The mysterious avenue. Nothing is his goal in pursuing the great path. Dao X in. Starting from this moment, incredibly firm. Today is already the 10th update, please give us some free flowers and evaluation tickets. The authors code their characters during the Chinese New Year, please support us.